Hello and welcome. I am Marc Sands, and on behalf of the Space Force Association, we'd like to welcome you to today's topic of the Guardian Arena 3. Joining me today are two distinguished members of the United States Space Force, Brigadier General Nick Hague and Mr. Adam Whisler. So for a way of introductions, Brigadier General Hague, 1998 graduate from the United States Air Force Academy, distinguished graduate in astronautical engineering before heading off to MIT for a master's degree in aeronautical and astronautical engineering. Distinguished graduate from the United States Air Force Test Pilot School and was the first Space Force Guardian launched into space, having multiple missions in space with an overall time of 1 year on orbit time. Most recently completing NASA's SpaceX Crew 9 Commander with 171 days in space. So welcome, General.
Thank you.
We're also joined by Mr. Adam Whisler, prior Army Infantry Ranger. He has a bachelor's degree in kinesiology, a master's in exercise physiology, and is working on his PhD in human performance. So congratulations on that. You're currently a strength and conditioning specialist at the Schriever Space Force Base Guardian Resilience Team effort there, and you're the main planner for the activities that are going to go on in Guardian Arena 3. So very interested in finding out what you have in store. So welcome both of you for this opportunity to talk about the arena. The Guardian Arena 3 is an annual event put on by the United States Space Force. It comprises of physical, cognitive, and teamwork aspects to be able to have a final victor down at Patrick Space Force Base in December of this year. Teams comprise of Air Force and Space Force, military and civilian, and are across the entire unit spectrum of the United States Space Force. As mentioned, the final competition is going to be at Patrick at the 8th and the 9th of December, where, sir, you're going to be the speaker at the lead event. And the winners are going to be announced at the Space Force Association's Space Power Conference. That's going to be held in December, immediately after the competition. So with that, would like to start with you, General Hague, sir. As the opening speaker at the Guardian Arena 3 this year, what's your key message that you're going to hit on for the audiences out there?
Yeah, it's time. You've been preparing for this. I've had a little bit of a sneak peek as to what's in store, and Adam's going to throw everything he's got. So this year is going to be more challenging than ever. So you've been working together, trying to become both physically and mentally ready for this, not just as individuals, but as teams. And now it's time to put it on. You're about to get in the arena.
Yeah, so and get things started, absolutely. So Adam, over to you. Can you explain how your Guardian Resilience Team work in your day-to-day job has influenced and impacted how you develop the Guardian Arena exercises and training activities?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we look about the Guardian Resilience Team, otherwise known as GRIT, we are an arm or a branch of the holistic health approach for the overall Space Force. The Space Force is trying to use the Guardian Resilience Teams to emphasize the importance of not only physical fitness, but also nutritional readiness, also mental resilience, also recovery, rehabilitation, sleep hygiene, all of those types of things that make a holistically healthy and prepared individual for overall performance. And so when we think about how those themes tie into the overall event or preparation for the Guardian Arena, it's when you are trying to be the best version of yourself, physically, mentally, professionally, all of those types of things, the Guardian Resilience Teams were created to help individuals be the best versions of themselves and then put that to the test in the actual main event of the Guardian Arena. When we think about the Guardian Arena, we have cognitive performance specialists on the Guardian Resilience Teams. We have a strength and conditioning coach. We have physical therapists, mental health providers, and then team leads. And all of those individuals are there, ready, prepared, and willing to help you prepare for that Guardian Arena challenge and help you, become the best version of yourself to get ready to compete. And so at the Guardian Arena, we'll put all of those types of things to the test, and you certainly need to be ready to test all of those areas.
Right. So your background in the Guardian Resilience Teams really show the importance of the preparation ahead of time, not just the performance during, and also on the back end as well.
Absolutely, correct? Especially with how challenging physically the event is going to be this year, and it has been in previous years. You certainly cannot just show up without preparing in advance. So just like, let's say for spaceflight, just like for anyone's daily duties, you cannot just show up and expect performance. You have to prepare to actually go put that performance on stage, and that happens whenever you are by yourself doing the hard work by yourself in preparation for the event.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. General Hague, so being the first Guardian to launch into space, which is absolutely fantastic, how would you relate the training experiences that you went through as a NASA astronaut, the skills and training, how those relate to success within the space domain and what we're trying to showcase here in the Guardian Arena.
Yeah, what Adam just talked about is the same way we approach training for spaceflight. It's a holistic approach. Human performance is not just about getting in the gym and getting physically fit. You've got to sharpen the mind as well. You've got to figure out how to use, what we call down at NASA soft skills or expeditionary skills. How do I work as an effective team? How do I identify what I need, but also how do I identify what my teammates need? Being willing to ask for help and give help. Those types of behaviors we work on throughout our entire training approach. An example of that. We want to get together as a crew and we want to figure out how to gel. Well, let's do that in a really physically taxing environment and mentally taxing environment. So we use the National Outdoor Leadership School. I was trudging through waist-deep snow, pulling a sled that was probably 80 pounds, along with my crewmates doing the exact same thing, going from mountain peak to mountain peak in Wyoming for a week, trying to achieve our objective and get to the place where we wanted to go, but then also trying to figure out, okay, someone needs to shed a little weight, somebody needs to help, and together we figure out how to make that work. Those are the types of crucibles we need to go through in order to come together. And the Guardian Arena is an excellent example of how we can create a crucible for people to really hone those skills.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's not just the individual, it's that team aspect that's really going to create success moving forward.
The only thing that matters is team success.
Right. Absolutely. With that in mind, as you develop these activities, how do you approach the structure? Specifically, how are you working on the different types of challenges to highlight exactly the team effort, even though you're doing it constructed with a bunch of individuals to get at that approach? How do you design it with that in mind?
Yeah. So when we think about the design components, we do absolutely want to emphasize that teamwork component. And so whenever we're thinking about creating physical challenges and then tactical challenges, we have some stations that are physical only, some stations that are tactical only, and then some stations that are actually integrated or blend the physical and tactical within the same time domain. And so let's say for a team of 3 to embark on a pretty tremendous physical challenge, let's say within 15 minutes, while also having to do a tactical challenge, for example, maybe a cyber problem set, a couple multiple choice questions, or having to decipher some information and then put that information into practical application, you may identify the strengths and weaknesses of your team to then say, how are we going to attack this problem set? Because if the physical challenge is strength, or if the physical challenge is endurance, and I have someone on my team who is very strong, and I have someone on my team who has a high degree of endurance, and then I have someone who's an expert in cyber, then great. Somehow they're well prepared for that competition or that specific station. But when we think about how can I try to, let's say, make myself a greater part of this team and contribute what I'm good at into making this team overall successful, then I can say, okay, well, I know I don't know anything about cyber, which means that I'm going to do everything I possibly can to take more burden of the workload. So if I have 300 repetitions, at first glance, you might say, well, each of the 3 members will do 100 repetitions. But that might not make sense, because if I have one person on that team of 3 who's excellent at cyber, well, that individual may not do any physical at that specific station. So it may be I'm doing 150 and someone else is doing 150. And so then you are, again, trying to be a bigger part of a bigger team, and so that you can kind of contribute in the way that I know my strengths are, and then you are communicating with the rest of your team to say, well, how can we make this team successful in this challenge we have ahead of us? And then if you do that over the course of 10 to 20 stations across a day, then you can kind of see what that team is made of.
That's quite a bit. Yeah, absolutely. So you got to know yourself, and you have to know your team, and you have to be vulnerable and open to that communication, so you know what your strengths and weaknesses are.
Yes, sir.
So, General, you've been out post-mission, meeting with a lot of students and a lot of military members that are in the local area. Can you share with us any insights you've had about how inspired they are, or what they are looking forward to, whether they're going to be in Aerospace Force in this mission shed?
Yeah, it's been a treat to be here, going up and down the Front Range and visiting all the installations, to be able to say thank you specifically because of that team. What the average Guardian may not realize is that they are an integral part of human spaceflight. NASA can't do its civil space mission unless the Space Force Guardians around the globe are doing the national security space mission. And so I've been going and talking with Guardians, whether it's up at Buckley or Peterson or Schriever, here at the Academy, talking with cadets, just trying to emphasize what they do on a daily basis is critical for the NASA mission, but it's also critical for our way of life. It's critical for the way we conduct military operations around the globe. And they need to know that I'm appreciative. Ultimately, I'm conveying a message from my family. It's, thank you for protecting me while I was on orbit and getting me home safely.
Yes, we're all reliant on the capabilities and making sure they maintain capabilities. So thank you for that. Back to the arena activities here. So we have evolved in Guardian Arena. This is now the third iteration. How have the challenges also evolved so that you maintain that mission-focused, mission-ready aspects of that?
Yeah. So as it's become, let's say, more distinguished of an event across now in the third year, in the original year, we did our best to identify the goal of the arena, to identify the best team in the Space Force, the best unit in the Space Force. And so, that was done by having these physical challenges and tactical challenges, all of them being blended at the time, but it was a relatively small footprint across the area of operations at the Museum of Cape Canaveral. And then in the following year, we had a pretty professional event where we actually used the Kennedy Space Center for our opening ceremonies. We had another event on day one. We led into day two, where we had a much larger area of operations, a much more challenging, more difficult physical stimulus. And then after some comments from last year and feedback we received, we can use those comments from the after action report or after action review to then kind of build the challenge for year three. So we're always taking the feedback off of each year and kind of building into the following year, so we can kind of use this information for where the Space Force Guardians, who are the ones doing the competition, where they think that competition should also grow and develop. And so then now in this year of the competition, we have subject matter experts building all of our tactical tasks. We have myself and the rest of the Guardian Resilience teams building all the physical tasks, and then we can integrate those into a larger scheme of maneuver. And then by using all of that information from the previous years that we've learned, we can kind of create this overall event that's now just getting better and better with as time goes on.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Let me translate better and better. It's more difficult and more challenging than it's ever been. So it's going to be exciting to watch people compete.
Yes, sir. And that's a great point. As you try to make things more challenging and make sure you get the most out of it, you've prepared for multiple space operations, space missions. You've done multiple space walks. How did you take those aspects of planning and preparation so that you can get the most out of those space missions as far as mental and physical and the cognitive aspects as well? How do you prepare for that so that you can make your future missions as robust as we're trying to make the Guardian Arena?
Yeah, a spacewalk is a challenging endeavor. At an individual level, it's roughly the aerobic equivalent of running a marathon. And at the same time, you've got the mental load of I'm out there in the vacuum of space, I have tasks I need to do, and I can't make a mistake. So the stakes are really high. But preparation is the key, and it's not just individual preparation. We've got training teams on the ground that spend hours and hours with us in the neutral buoyancy lab in the underwater training facility, making sure that we know how to do the tasks that we need to do. But it's not just that. For instance, the most recent spacewalk I performed, I never practiced those, some of those particular skills until I did them on orbit. I had teams on the ground about 6 months before we ever did those things, developing the procedures, getting things ready. So the preparation is absolutely key. And then when it comes to execution, there's always a wrinkle. There's always something that pops up. And it's not just me trying to figure it out in the moment, it's the entire team, the two of us outside, as well as the hundreds on the ground that are doing the real-time engineering analysis and coming up with the right way to go forward. It's really fun when you're in that mix. You're part of that orchestra playing your instrument, but everybody else is adding to it, and you really feel this it's an exciting sense of accomplishment.
That's great. Relative to the spacewalks, again, you mentioned you had not practiced those activities prior to. The same kind of challenges we have Guardian Arena. Can you talk about any of the challenges you faced, maybe on that spacewalk or on this latest mission, that can be relatable to that of how you overcame that and what that challenge was?
Yeah, if I think we're humans, we make mistakes. And so one of the biggest aspects is if I make a mistake, how do I learn from it in the moment and then continue on and get better? And so if I think back to that last spacewalk that I did, There was we have a tool where it's an electric screwdriver essentially, and I had a wrong setting in there, and I applied the wrong torque to a bolt. And so that's a mistake, and it happened early on. How it happened, I don't know, but it happened. And so then it's take a pause, take a beat, reflect, try to move forward, shake it off so that I don't carry that into the team. But then my team rallies around me and says, okay, well, this is the way we can go forward. We can manage this. And so that's where teamwork really comes in, is when somebody stumbles, you've got teammates there to pick you up and push you forward.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And Ms. Whisler, so as you're divining and coming up with these ideas for these challenges, how do you take those types of those mental and physical challenges so that you almost want them to get to a point of near failure or failure? And then how do you encourage them and inspire them to go through that to complete the task, to get through, to stay on focus so that they're combat ready and ready to go?
Right. That kind of gets to how we develop those tactical and cognitive challenges. So I have a counterpart on the Guardian Resilience team. Her name's Kathleen Oswald. She's at the Peterson Guardian Resilience team. She's a cognitive performance specialist. And so she works with all those subject matter experts to create tasks that are relevant to the actual space power discipline that they're coming from, and then also that they are appropriately designed for the difficulty level that we're trying to stimulate. And so, for example, some of the challenges may have a physical and tactical within the same time domain, but some of those physical challenges might be synchronous repetitions where me and somebody else have to be doing the repetition side by side in the exact same movement pattern at the exact same time, which means that you only have one person on the far side, maybe 20 meters away, working on a tactical packet. And so I can actually separate them and make it so it's a little bit more of a demand from communication, a little bit more of, we need you to actually go through your hasty planning process and say, well, hey, this is the individual that's going to be placed over there 20 meters away from us, and we kind of maybe can't, go talk to them. We can't switch as efficiently on the physical, synchronous repetitions as we could at some other stations, right? Where it might be just physical. And so again, it kind of goes toward that communication element. It goes toward this hasty planning. It goes toward, how do we react to contact? What if someone, let's say, does that station as their 15th station of the day, and they thought previously that they would be able to be that guy who is going to take part in that physical event and do all the physical, but maybe they've done that at every other station before then. So then they have to admit, hey, maybe I can't do this right now. I need to go try to be the other person and have someone else come and do this for me. And so you have to have the humility, I would say, to say, I can recognize where I maybe have a gap right now in my own performance, but I know that my teammates can step up and actually cover down on where I need them to be.
That's perfect, absolutely. And with that teamwork aspect from a leadership point of view, being one of the general officers in the Space Force, how do you see the Guardian Arena lessons learned and inspiration moving the force forward with our ultimate goal of maintaining supremacy in the high ground? How do you see the Guardian Arena fitting into that?
Yeah, it's the process of the competition that is instilling these concepts of teamwork and how to increase your performance and your team's performance. And those lessons aren't just learned by the team that ends up on the podium at the end of the day. They're learned by everybody that participates all the way up there. And so those also carry back into the units. And they just help put an exclamation point on the importance of this idea of teamwork and holistic performance. And as we perfect that, we're just going to become a better service.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the goal. That is the goal. And as you've done multiple Guardian Arenas, and you've talked a little bit about the inspiration, where do you see the challenges going? Do you see the same types of evolution, or is there a different mindset that you're already thinking about moving forward? Not to give too much away to future participants or challengers, but can you talk a little bit about what, I know you got the 5-meter target with the December event. What's beyond that? How do we move forward?
Well, I think when we look at the Guardian Arena overall, again, it's become better and better throughout the years. Maybe more difficult, but better and better throughout the years, both tactically and physically, right? But that's always, through this iterative process of conducting an event with a high degree of planning, doing everything you can, and then just react to contact because it's not going to go the exact way that you thought it would. And so then after that, you get the feedback from your planning team, you get the feedback from everybody who embarked on those challenges, and then you use that feedback to improve upon the next year. So I think when I think about the short-term target in the December competition for 2025, Yeah, absolutely. We're going to take those lessons learned from the last 2 years and apply those and make a better event for this year. And then we'll take, something is bound to go wrong in 2025 as well. And then we can go and conduct that after action review again and then say, okay, well, how can we make 2026 better? How can we make 2027 better? And so then I think it's just always being willing to recognize that no plan you create, regardless of how much effort we put in, will ever be perfect, right? Something will go wrong at some point, but it's going to matter more how you react to that and then say, okay, here's how I'm going to take those lessons learned and apply those to the future iterations.
Yeah, those lessons learned are critical moving forward. So, General, the Guardian Arena does aim to link those military skills of being combat ready and esprit de corps through healthy competition. When you look at how the Space Force is evolving, what do you see as kind of the future challenges that we're going to be facing, either in the astronaut corps at NASA or in the Space Force as well?
Yeah, the Space Force mission set is growing, without doubt. It's growing exponentially, and the demands that we're going to ask out of Guardians are only going to increase. And I've been lucky to be a beneficiary of holistic, this holistic approach to integrated human performance at NASA. As we prepare for missions, I have a functional equivalent of a grit supporting me, and so I've seen the outcomes if you embrace this approach, how successful you can be. Working on the International Space Station, the NASA civil mission of exploring space, it happens because we take this approach. And so I know as we instill this and refine it and help the rest of the Guardians embrace this approach, we're going to be successful in the future because I know the outcomes are positive.
So with the conclusion of Guardian Arena 3, what is your expectation as someone that's developing this construct? What's the expectation of the participants post-competition after they go back to their units?
One of the things we want to emphasize is we've talked a lot about the lessons learned from our planning team. But what about the lessons learned from you as a competitor and you as a team of competitors? We don't just want this to be this transient, I go compete and then I wait until the next year. We want you to take those lessons learned of improvements in communication, how to react to an adverse situation, how I can, let's say, embark on the challenges with a knowledge of my own strengths and weaknesses and the strengths and weaknesses of the rest of my team, and then apply those leadership lessons to their units. So one of the things General Hague and I talked about 2 days ago when we were talking about Guardian Arena is how we want these competitors to go back to their unit and share those lessons learned and keep the conversation going. Encourage people to compete in future iterations of the competition, encourage them to share those lessons learned. How can I improve my own leadership style? How can I improve the leadership style of maybe some of my subordinates or other team members? And so it's more about, let's say, taking back those lessons learned and then taking back their lessons and applying those to their unit.
Yeah, so it does not end at
Correct.
At Patrick.
Yeah,
there's work afterwards. So.
Absolutely.
Perfect. General, final words on your view of what's going to be happening in December.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. And there's going to be a lot of preparation that the teams are making over the next few months. But I also want to just congratulate everybody that put themselves out there. It takes courage to compete in the regional competition and try to qualify for the Guardian Arena. And congratulations. You learned something in that process, so you can follow Adam's advice and go back and share that with your units. I'm looking forward to being down there in Florida here in a few months and witnessing it firsthand.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to seeing you down at the main event. And again, the victor will be announced at the Space Force Association Space Power Conference 10 to 12 December. And thank you very much for joining us today. Well, that concludes our time today with General Hague and Mr. Whisler. On behalf of the Space Force Association, I'm Marc Sands. We look forward to seeing you all at the Guardian Arena 3.
Whether by land, sea, or air, military dominance is always won by command of the highest ground. The Space Force Association works with industry to examine what's in the art of the possible for future capabilities. The SFA provides an opportunity to research, inform, and advocate for a strong Space Force. Show your support by signing up today at ussfa.org.